Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Every now and then I try to be punny. Yes. Welcome, Directrix. Ready for some more Phoenix Wright tonight? Bring moving the chat monitor a little to the right so I don't get a crick in my neck here looking over at it. Let's see. Before we get too much further in, let's check the kitty cam here. Oh, we got lots of cats. We got lots of cats. We have Sky and Rorschach piled up in the cat tree. We have Mason top center there, next to the cat shield. You can see Ember in the top right. You can also see Weasley demanding attention, at least one of Weasley's feet. It's intensive scratches. Let's see here if we do button. Weasley headbutts my hand and makes me switch menus here. There we go, some Phoenix Wright music. I have no idea where we were. Let's see if I can remember. Let's see. We're in day 2 of Rise from the Ashes. I don't remember what we were doing. And I surely can't be bothered to watch my own streams. Yes, you're still there, Weasley. I acknowledge you. I do. Yes. Nope. Quit clicking. He's not gonna let me play for a bit here. I gotta give him some attention. Hello. Let's see. So this was the case where a police investigator or a detective, I think, was killed, presumably in the parking garage at the same time that somebody was killed in the evidence room. Yes, that's right, Directrix. So we're trying to figure out the connection there. We have Lana Skye is implicated in the simultaneous death of the same person that occurred in the parking garage, and Officer, I think it's Meekins or something like that, is implicated in the death of that person that occurred in the records room. Yes, hello, Weasley. Look at this. Look at this troublemaker. No, I demand attention right now. Right now. Make my arms ache. All right. Let's see. Where were we? No flag there. And this joker. So we're probably gonna. He's moving around. He's moving around. Yes. I get that you're back. Come here. Come here. Come here. I need you to cooperate, sir. He said to the cat. Probably gonna forego the voices. It's just... It's more straining than I think it's worth. And it doesn't really come through in the video very well. It sounds more different in my head than it is. Bitrate might be a bit wonky. Yeah, bitrate's a bit wonky. So... We're gonna give it a little bit to recover here. The interim. We'll go full cat until that turns back around in a moment here. It's wibbling all over the place. Are we stable? Stabilizing. Maybe not. Anytime now. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Back in. Back in. Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. I never thought the day would come when Rido asked me for help. I was wondering if we could investigate the evidence room. Is that like 2.5 blinks that he does while thinking? Now, Rido. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't need to investigate after all. It'd be a pushover, right? Rido, please, do I look like a selfish man? Huh? Heck, if anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50, I'd give them $50, no problem. So go ahead. Investigate that room to your heart's content. Knock yourself out. Just goes to show you never know until you ask. And for you here, you can borrow this. I like how it's very clearly says police department with the rest of it blurred. I wonder if it was that way in the original Japanese, or if they that this text was visible and they replaced it with the English text, because it is a very crisp set of text. I wouldn't expect to even with the details blurred, I wouldn't expect there to be such crisp text there. But, you know, I could be wrong. They might just be emphasizing that it's a police department with logo card. Oh, hey, this is a detective's ID card, isn't it? That's a special card for guests, so don't lose it. It says it's a special card for guests, but this top word here looks like it says sergeant. I can't really make out the second line. There's, there's two parts to it, so likely first and last name. And then if I had to guess, the third one is like a serial number, like number something. Or ID number kind of thing. Yes, sir, it's an honor. You just run along and do your best now. Later, folks. Looks pretty cool on my lapel, doesn't it? Just think, a real ID. You seem happy. Yes, sir, because, sir, we get to go to into the evidence room now, sir. She's speaking like Meekins. This place is a bad influence on the girl. Her competence is probably plummeting by the moment if she's adapting to the local PD. Evidence room is beyond that door, and we have an ID card from Chief Gant. Let's just walk in. It won't open. Haha, the card reader is turned off, see? What is that security guard thinking? Howdy, partners. Oh well, what's made my Bambina's skies so gray? Mister, I really, really, really want to live in a Western movie. Officer Marshall. Why does it have to be him? What's that why does it have to be him look for? I'm really convinced, at this point, that either everybody around Phoenix is a mind reader, or Phoenix is a projective-only telepath. So everybody can hear his thoughts, whether he knows it or not. Because there are often characters that react as if they heard him when he has his little internal monologues. Or characters that are close to doing so, like this guy recognizes the look. As you may have surmised, this here is my saloon. At least once during this trial, Emma has directly responded as if he said it to her. We're here to investigate the crime scene. Yeehaw. That card you got there on your chest. That's better than a sheriff's badge in these parts. Yeehaw. Oh, what you standing there for? Get along, little doggies. Dogies in this case, you know. The crime scene's awaiting. Beep. Looks like the card reader's on again. While we're here, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions. That's right, Directrix. Because, I mean, like, you can't trust green text. Green text varies in what it implies when somebody is speaking. Not just on the stand for the cross-examinations. But blue text almost universally looks like it's Phoenix's internal monologue. But there's also the fun idea, like you mentioned, what if he's muttering to himself all the time? Like, even those times when he's very clearly, like, insulting the person with that phrase, what if he actually says that out loud? He does not seem to be the kind of person that's self-conscious enough to notice that. Sorry, cowboy, but I got no mind to tangle with you hombres. You're busy, then. Did I say that? I only said I didn't wish to speak with you. Actually, you said you had no mind to tangle with us hombres. I'm gonna try to talk to you anyway. I was wondering if we could talk to you. Sorry, Bambina, but I'm off to roam the lands like a tumbleweed on the wide prairie. Like a gunslinger loading his six-shooter, I say a little prayer. Rourke. It's an interesting prayer. What was that all about, Mr. Wright? I think he was just too hungry to talk. Just saying that because his stomach was growling. I have no idea what he was talking about either. Well, in any case, we need to get cracking on this investigation. Pronto. Oh, same thing. Yeah, he's got that sort of like, is it a Western sounding word? Like Western movie sounding word? Yes, just pepper it in there. It's like seasoning on a sentence. Doesn't have to mean anything. You just say it. It's quiet. The investigation must be over here. So this is the evidence room. Really is kind of like a graveyard. Graveyards are supposed to have grass and trees. This feels more like a morgue. Nice try, Mr. Wright. You can't scare me. Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. From the sounds of it, she got surprised and slapped Gumshoe. I wouldn't recommend going around smacking ghosts on the head, pal. So is it true, what I heard? Like a selfish man. I would lend people $50. Go ahead and investigate all you want. Yeah, it's true. So Chief of Police Gant will loan anyone $50, even me? So that's what you were talking about. I guess, Directrix, whether an attack on a ghost would work in a physical sense depends on what you're hitting them with. There are quite a few miscellaneous objects that seem to have an impact when you smack a ghost with it. Though it varies by type of ghost and folklore associated. It's kind of like vampire logic. A lot of the things that kill a vampire would also very much kill a regular person. Like, first you've got to cut their head off and then ram a wooden stake through their heart. Or, light them on fire and then salt the ashes of their body kind of thing. And it's... Have you ever tried anything else? Because all the things you're saying are just generically lethal. I was in charge of the investigation for today. Just for today? Boss for a day. But guess what? You got permission from the chief, so now you're boss for a day. But yeah, it's usually less solid objects. Your fire and your presence of particular things, or damage to other objects that seem to be affiliated with dealing with a ghost. But I'm of the mind that if spreading a circle full of salt will hold or damage a ghost that tries to cross it, then you should just smack them with a bag of salt. It feels like that would be a much more expedient way to deal with them. First of all, you want to have this. Floor plans of the evidence room. Okay. So, Detective Gumshoe, your boss for the day? That's right, it's an honor. After all, the murder took place right here in the police department. But if you're boss, why are you all alone? Where are your underlings? He's boss for a day, all by himself in a secluded area of the department after the investigation has already been handled. That as much feels like that sort of You've got like a small child with you at a workplace and you give them a meaningless task to handle, but you make it sound like it's a great big responsibility. Like, oh man, you're the official holder of the shreddable documents. You get to carry them with me when I go to shred the documents. Or, you're in charge of sharpening pencils today. It's an honor to sharpen the pencils. I wish I could sharpen the pencils. They're using yesterday's findings to prepare for tomorrow's trial. In other words, you got kicked out of the investigation again. I'm adamant, though. I'm going to take control and put this case to rest. My own evidence locker, pal. You have a locker here too, Detective Gumshoe? Of course. I'm a detective, after all. They gave me a locker that only I can open, pal. Only you can open? I'll always believe in Mr. Edgeworth, no matter what happens. So Mr. Edgeworth is with the Inquiry Committee right now, right? They're trying to figure out who's responsible for the mess-up in court today. This was a piece of evidence that Meekins tried to bring to Edgeworth, but Edgeworth sent him away because he was busy preparing for this trial. But this evidence of another case, the simultaneous murder here, that showed that it was the murder of the same person simultaneously. Since it wasn't part of this murder case, Edgeworth didn't want to see it. And that discrepancy or that problem with the timing and the fact that it was the same person came up. Oh, hey, look in the background here. We have the fishing rod, the metal detector, and the little transceiver thing. The transceiver thing shows up, I think, in the subsequent game when they're checking for bugs. The metal detector showed up in the prior case, as did the fishing rod. I see. I guess this is what you call fate. Mr. Edgeworth just can't get away from that case. That case? Yeah, that case. The SL9 incident, of course. That was the beginning of the end for Mr. Edgeworth. Maybe we can get him to tell us more about the case. This place is more high-tech than you might think. Every locker is fixed so that only one detective can open it. Using their ID card? Well, that's the thing, pal. ID cards can be lost. Why, I'm on my third card since entering the force already. Hey there, Barbed Wire. How are you doing today? That sounds like a lot. Yeah, but I can't lose my own right hand. Interesting, Directrix. I mean, canonically, it makes sense that he still has the bug sweeper there, because that was something that he already had when he deploys it in the subsequent trial. I didn't know this was DLC. Let's see. I was thinking of something. My train of thought has derailed, rolled off the tracks, and probably gone into the nearby town. Oh, that's right. I found it. We've searched the records. We've got the black box. So, they're referring to a biometric lock on the door. And I recall working in software development associated with authentication factors. So logging in with a password, logging in with a biometric, logging in with an ID card, that kind of thing. And in current tech, there's always speculation on advanced tech that is speculation on things that are like 10 years out, you know? But it's what you know, what you have, and what you are in order of strength. What you know is like a password or an answer to a secret question. It's a secret. Then what you have is something, you know, in your pocket, like an ID card or a lanyard or a key. And then what you are is usually a biometric. So it's things like a fingerprint or a retinal scan or things like that. And I always I always talk to people about it as their strength is determined by how quickly you know if it's been lost. Or if it's been compromised. A secret, a what you know, you won't know that it's compromised until the effects of the compromise become known. So you don't know that somebody has hacked your account on like social media until you see a fake post or something like that. And that's very late. What you have becomes, the compromise becomes apparent as soon as you try to use it yourself, because you won't have it. And I would always joke with folks about the what you are factor, the biometric factor, because you know right away if your biometric has been compromised or you don't care anymore. In your fingerprint. Exactly, pal. The lock for each locker is coded with a fingerprint. So the only locker we can open is our own. Oh, hey, it's a picture of the police officer from the first case. The one that was apparently cursed with terrible luck. Funny, they look like normal lockers. These are the latest model. There's a trick to the handles, see? The handles? Exactly, Directrix. If somebody makes off with your finger, either you're very aware that it happened, or you're not aware of anything anymore. The other side of the handles is a sensor, and if the wrong person touches it, you get a shock. If that's what happened, my hand would be black and smoking every day. Yeah, but it'd be much more effective as a theft deterrent, Gumshoe. I think we should try it. Arena jokes. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Oh, look at this big pile of junk in the corner. It's like a car door. There's a pair of handcuffs attached to the frame. The guy they caught was some sort of escape artist and he got away. Yeah, that's one of those human profiles for range testing. He's been shot square in the forehead. Better him than us. Some sort of bulky equipment is gathering here. You know, given the other things, the fishing pole and the metal detector, I wonder if they're implying that the sack contains the sniffer dog. Which game, Barbed Wire? A question you may answer when you return. A sorry-looking fishing pole, that is. Huh, that's my personal pole. I never did get around to using it. Wait, I've seen that somewhere before. Right, pal, that's the metal detector. The one that led to the solving of that case out on Gourd Lake, remember? Right. Well, that feels like it was ages ago. Weeks and weeks, in fact. I don't think I've seen this one before. That's a bug sweeper. I'm sure it'll come in handy in solving some case sooner or later. That cheap-looking box? Can't judge a person or a machine by their cover. You gotta look at their heart. This place is stuffed with evidence. Stuffed with dreams. Not so sure about the dreams. Won't open. Did you really think it would? Security's high-tech around here. Slide. What's this? Blood. It's a little worn, but there's definitely a handprint. Looks like someone tried to wipe it off. Mr. Wright. What if there are other bloodstains left in the room? Exactly. It's clearly visible. It's clearly visible, Directrix. People can look right at me and tell that I'm being, honest and forthright. My heart's right there. We should use her testing fluid to check it out. What's a saw and paint doing here? Since the dawn of time, true art has always been a war against oppression. Ah, okay, this is where he made the little crude cardboard cutout dancing doll thing. Yellow and blue paint. True art? I notice there's blue and yellow paint here. Perhaps we're witnessing the birthplace of the Blue Badger. Oh, you might say this is my studio. Here, in the evidence room. Someone left a glove here, but only one. Detective Gumshoe, maybe? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of absent-minded detective. That's evidence from the case, you know. I mean, SL9 does have a tag on it. Extremely thin rubber glove. Someone must have broken something big to make all those pieces. Detective Gumshoe, perhaps? Every time there's something askew in the room, they look back over at him. Get me out to be some kind of hooligan. That's apparently from the case. See the sticker on the pieces there? I wonder what shape these pieces were in before whatever it was broke. Want to try to put it back together? Good luck, pal. That's no job for amateurs. I spent a good 3 hours on that before I had to give up. I always carry around a tube of glue. This looks like the bottom. Let's try putting the rest in place. Puzzles! No, I hit the wrong button. That was the give up button. Yeah, jaggedy bit there. It's a technical term. Is this one of those trophies? Those look right. That might fit. Yeah. We're good at this. Oh, no. A strange shape. Huh? I think we did it, but some of the pieces are missing. I got that far too in 2 minutes myself. Problem is finishing it. Yeah, there are some puzzle-solving elements in this one, Barbed Wire. Also, welcome back. Were some pieces stolen? Bet they were missing to begin with. Still, doesn't look like the most stable kind of jar. I kind of understand how it got broken. Which game were you downloading a patch for there, Barbed Wire? Look, this one's open, and the red indicator light above the door is lit. That locker is coated with Detective Goodman's fingerprint. Detective Goodman's locker. Are you sure it's okay to leave it open like that? Well, it'd be hard to get it open again if we closed it. It's empty. They must have taken the contents elsewhere. Alright, let's get the luminol out. Changes to paladins that you don't appreciate their barbed wire. Must have been one massive pool of blood. Never seen anything like it. I'm not a professional. What's your opinion, detective? Pale blue blood. Maybe Detective Goodman was actually an alien. This proves that something really happened in front of this locker. I'll make a note of it on the floor plans. If you didn't want my opinion, you shouldn't have asked. Or handprints. Why am I getting a reaction here? There's no reason for the murderer to touch this spot if he fled out the door. This just might be something significant. Hey. That's some pretty amazing stuff you got there, pal. What, this? It's called luminol testing fluid. Where'd you get your hands on that? Huh? I'd like to get some too. I'll just borrow $50 from the chief. Where do you get this, Emma? I always buy it by mail order. I better jot this down in the floor plans. Just hose the place down with this. The question, barbed wire, the real question is, how many years of combined experience do the devs have? Because they might know better than you. Someone's right handprint. What? What's the matter, detective? This locker, it's mine. It's yours. Please. You have to help me. When they come to take me away, promise you'll testify I wouldn't harm a fly. I was referring to the League of Legends 200 Years Champions joke. The fact that when the community pushed them on ongoing balance issues, one of the replies that at least some developers or some leads gave was that the studio has 200 years of combined game development experience, so they know what they're doing. So perhaps you have a similar situation on the Paladin's front. You can do that for me, won't you, pals? An important clue. I'll jot it down on the floor plans. I'm counting on you guys. Believe me, you can't trust the police. What? But you're a detective. Yeah, which means he should absolutely know that they're up to no good. Yeah, auto aim would definitely be a suspect kind of thing to add in that kind of game. Sort of ruins the point, wouldn't you think? Exactly, Directrix. It's the sort of brag that doesn't mean a lot. Alright, let's look for flags here. Prince blood splatter. That's pretty much exactly the circumstance that they try to present in a lot of these development circumstances, is that clearly the developers know better because they've been developing it for so long. But often that is put in a position of, you know, your experience as a player doesn't matter, you know? That because they're the ones building it in the background, the experience of people actually experiencing it counts for less. Which can be a weird stance to take, especially when it's a any sort of online game at this point. I have an idea. I looked at it some long time ago, like many years at this point. Um, I can't remember exactly when, but it was early in kind of the early access period, I think. Haven't really touched it since. End the guard station. And then we give him the steak lunch. That smell reminds me of Texas. So, Officer Marshall, you're from Texas? No, I just saw a special on the television the other day. Yeah, that about lines up with how he tries to speak and behave. Yeah, Miss Star. What's this? What? What's wrong? A filet steak lunch. I see. I don't see. I wonder what it means. Alright, Bambina, you win. Ask, munch, 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 anything. Seems like he's willing to talk. Announcer voice packs are a fun thing. When I played and watched a lot of Dota 2, the voice packs were a fun thing. Really sort of mixes up the experience. But it ultimately depends entirely on both who they get and what sort of lines that they do. Officer Marshall, you're in charge of security for the evidence room, right? Yeah, good eyes, partner. It's an easy job, and I'm grateful for it. Actually, Officer Meekins at the detention center told us. Ah, that poor little doggy. Poor guy, I keep getting his name wrong and calling him Meekly. He told us something. He said that when the stabbing occurred, you weren't at your station. Well, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this, but since I got demoted from detective 2 years ago, well, it might not look it, but I lost my fire for the job, you know, he said as he's drinking from his juice flask, indicating just how committed he still is to the job. That would be a good one. Oh man, get that guy. Get him good. So, what were you doing around 5:15 when the murder took place? Well, I reckon I was galloping down the highway on the back of my steed, Zippy. I kind of want it to be some sort of like Vespa scooter, you know? To have this guy in full Western regalia on a dumpy little motor scooter, please. Note, he was riding down the highway on his horse named Zippy. No need for people here, anyhow. These newfangled machines do a bang-up job of keeping an eye on the place. I mean, the security camera system. I don't take to machines much. Kind of like that stewed broccoli they sneak in next to your steak, you know? Ooh. I mean, I could get, like, steamed or maybe a little boiled, but stewed? That doesn't sound like a good way to treat broccoli. Especially if he's bigger than he looks, Directrix. Big, tall guy dressed up as a cowboy on a scooter too small for him. Miss Starr told us something. She said that you were a detective until 2 years ago. Perhaps someday that could be something that happens. Someday. It was always my dream to be a rawhide wrangler on the scene of the crime. Rawhide wrangler sounds like a euphemism. That's all gone now, like a drinking hole in a prairie fire. You're still investigating the SL9 incident with Miss Starr, aren't you? That was my case. It's all solved on the record books, but it smells like a bad game of poker. Can't let it go. That's all there is to it. What case was it anyway? We've heard the name so many times, but no one tells us what actually happened. There are some things you're better off not knowing, Bambina. Anyway, that case is officially dead as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago, the day of our case. That's right. The evidence transferals. Edgeworth was talking about the transferals, too. I know what maybe 2 of the machines in here do. Only 2 of them? There must be a dozen. Like I said, Bambina, me and machines, well... I like them about as much as I like stewed cauliflower with my steak. That's another one that's not bad. I mean, you gotta get the cauliflower just right. It's another one of those, if it turns to mush, it's not too good sort of things. But he seems very picky about his, or at least he seems to have very particular experiences when it comes to his steak. That it keeps getting supplied with vegetation that he is not, that he doesn't like. Yeah, cauliflower definitely does have an odor to it. The easiest ones to understand are these here security cameras. Those are the ones that Officer Meekins mentioned. If nothing happens, the tapes are automatically erased every few hours. Officer Meekins and Detective Goodman, are they on one of those tapes? I reckon they might be. You're the security guard and you reckon? One more thing. When you go into the evidence room, you need an ID card. That's the card reader by the door. The card reader leaves a record of every ID card that passes through. (5842189) isn't that... I think that is, Goodman. And we can see that somebody else comes in at about the same time. I was wondering about that, Barbed Wire. He does seem to be trying to shave that one particular spot perpetually. But I wonder if he's just really precise with a very sharp knife. And he's just shearing away a tiny amount of it each time. Given the particle effect, though, it doesn't look like the case. I've seen that somewhere before. Sorry, Bambina, I can't show you more than that. Huh? I haven't heard whether this is related to the case yet. Mr. Wright, I saw a number on that record just now. I've seen that number before. There's some way I can prove that record is tied to the stabbings. Yep. First we'll ask about the transferals. Sorry, but could you explain what this whole transferal thing is about? We keep only evidence from solved cases in this room. They're kept here under the presiding detective's supervision for 2 years. So we can reinvestigate them if it turns out there was a mistake, see? So what happens to the evidence after 2 years? It goes to sleep forever in the underground vault of the County Sheriff's Department. That's what we call transferal. We do it every February. I see now. Transferal is like a funeral for old cases. 2 years after a case is solved, it's closed forever. Dead. I mean... you kind of imply that when you say it's solved, never to be reopened again, never to be reinvestigated. That can't possibly be alcohol, though, barbed wire. That would change the rating of this game, as they'd have to mention alcohol use in the rating. So it definitely can't be alcohol. I expect it's either frothy water or fruit juice. That happened to SL9 2 days ago. See this? This is the victim's ID card. Ah, the one that was on the ground in the parking lot? The number on this is 5842189. Officer Marshall, show us that ID card record again. Look, the fourth number. It's a perfect match. It was used at 5:14, right before the stabbing. What's more, there's only one of them cards in the whole world. Yeah, I mean, it'd be impossible to take another card with a magnetic strip on it and have that same number show up. That's another fun one. Not all RFID cards and swipe badge cards are very secure. A lot of them just spit out the number. So the magnetic swipe might just spit out a number when it's swiped, or the RFID card might just emit the number when the signal is detected. Which means if you have a way of encoding an RFID card, and you can buy those online, that can give you the ability to copy an RFID card that you have access to. I wouldn't recognize a Better Call Saul joke there, Barbed Wire. It is a show I have only heard of. So, when the incident occurred, Detective Goodman was in the evidence room. But wait, what did Officer Meekin say? I entered the evidence room and asked the man to display his ID card. So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. That's the thing, suddenly he pointed a knife at me. If he had his ID card then, why would he have pointed a knife at Officer Meekins? Alright, compadre, you win. I guess I can give you this ID card record. If I recall, this is actually the first time somebody has mentioned Better Call Saul to me in the sense of, hey, you should watch that. Otherwise, I've just seen, references to the title. Got an idea. Maybe I should show this list to other people with IDs here. I have not seen Breaking Bad. Again, I have heard of it. I have seen references to it in the memes. Officer Meekins, could you take a look at this? I'm sorry, sir, really sorry, but I have no idea what that is. Maybe you should ask Mr. Edgeworth, sir. He's passing the buck, Mr. Wright. The television shows that I have seen are akin to the music that I listen to. It's all over the place. Takes a special kind of man to pass the buck to Edgeworth. Maybe I'll have to. Maybe I'll have to start trying to watch some of those then. Need more police officers. Hey, can we get his badge number? Sheriffs back in the Wild West didn't place much faith in evidence. About the only thing they trusted was their shooting hand. This is neither Wild nor West here. I don't think he's ever going to believe that. Aha, but that and this are two different things entirely. I guess so? I'm lost. Looks like we need some evidence to get anywhere with this guy. About you. Tell us your badge number. Can you take a look at this? This is the ID card record of the people who came in here on the day of the stabbing. Ah, I heard the rumors. So it was Goodman who came in here at the time of the murder. Whoa. What is it? That second number. It's not your ID number, is it, Detective? Mr. Edgeworth. What? The second number on this list belongs to Mr. Edgeworth. What? Why would Edgeworth have come to the evidence room? He was there 34 minutes before, well, I'm sorry, about 33 minutes before before the murder took place. Wait a minute. Oh. Well, I mean, Maya's not around, so somebody's got to pick up the people we know that keep getting themselves in trouble slack. I'm going to be right back, folks. I will return shortly. And back. All right, let's see here. We have Edgeworth's ID. We get a new flag now that we know it's No, we don't get a new flag now that we know it's Edgeworth. If we pester Meekins now that we know it's Edgeworth. The trill of sherbet. Maybe he'll enter camera in a moment. Easily taking a swing at him as he walks by. To figure out what we need to do next, so. Card record, heard rumors, Edgeworth is on the thing. Edgeworth is implicated in this like crazy. But what does that mean? How about you? Know anything? Nope, that's her, I don't care about it, message there. Doesn't care about the vase from SL9. Tricky. Don't know. How about some of this SL9 stuff, you know? Nope, doesn't care. About smashed vase. Let's look at some of this stuff. Let's actually look at some of this stuff and not hit the wrong button. So it looks like it's got 3 handle dealies, or should have 3 handle dealies. Hard to make out, but there are some dark red stains. Looks like blood. Do you think Detective Goodman's blood got on this when he was stabbed? Not likely. This blood looks like it's been here for months, maybe longer. It was evidence in SL9. Might be when the blood got on it. Tag says SL911. No, I never did care for the word tag. It's confusing. What's so confusing about that? You know how many other words sound like that? Bag, gag, nag, lag, zag. Zag? Is that a word? Do you challenge me? What, are we playing a word game now? Okay. Ah, okay. On the 21st, there's a report of Goodman having lost his ID. I'm betting it's he lost his ID. Because right there, he can't write his ID number down. Interesting. Wait a minute. Let's check this too. Okay, this only tells us that Edgeworth entered, or I think he entered the prosecutor's office at 5:12. And 4:40. Okay. So we have an indication that he arrived back before the murder would have taken place. These pieces together, it makes a jar. Two things that bother me. There are some missing pieces, and why does it seem a little unstable? I wonder if it broke. Could be that it's reassembled wrong, or it's not meant to stand that way, or... You care about this? Nope. No, we only know that Bruce Goodman died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m., which implicates everybody on that list in his murder. But we know that Goodman supposedly entered at 5:14. We actually only know that his ID went through the door at 5:14, unless we can get camera records. Sure have a lot of monitors in here. There's 8 cameras in the evidence room in all. 1 for each section. Which monitor shows the section where the crime took place? Why do cattle sit before the rain comes? It's not for man to know. Unless you're the security guard responsible. Cactus sure is prickly. It must be real. Just keep your distance from Billy here. You're liable to get hurt. Named his cactus. Billy. The cactus has a name? Billy, you're wearing a cowboy hat on your hand. On my rawhide cowskin 10-gallon hat. Just picked that up. But Billy took a fancy to it. It's like it got stuck on the spines and you couldn't get it off. A leather jacket, leather pants, and a leather... Those aren't pants. They're chaps. That's a poncho up there. Aha, poncho. It sure looks cool, but the name is a little silly. The swinging door, just like a saloon. Sorry, partner, but we're closed for the day. You'll get along home now. You really wanted to be a Wild West bartender. I always wanted to say that. Lasso, looks like it's set up to trap something. Here's the new text. I just roped me a steer with this here lasso. What? He was bellowing, moo, pal, moo. Detective Gumshoe, I presume. Okay, what if we go back to the evidence room and show Gumshoe the missing item report? Let me just say one thing, speaking as a detective. If I see a piece of evidence I know nothing about, I say nothing. Nothing. That's fine. I bet it's fine, pal. Okay. Name and ID number. Yeah, Sergeant Bruce Goodman ID. This is like similar to the badge we were given. This might just be it's a generic template for a badge. Also, Sherbet bailed on us. Check the cat cams. Looks like Mason is on the pillow. No sign of Sammy or Sherbet. Not sure why they only use numbers for IDs. Okay, that is a repeat there. Badger is still writhing around today. Give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's dancing. Speaking of dancing, the whole police department has been dancing around like crazy since yesterday. Can I take out his batteries? I just can't help but feel he's going to do something naughty. Patrolman is saluting that other guy. He must be a detective. Answer me. How many fingers do you see? I'm sorry, I don't know. Well, that's 20 for the left, but nowhere near that for the right. Get glasses, officer. I think that wasn't a salute. I think it was an eye test. They make a good pair. Cute. Patrol cars painted black and white is a repeat. She thinks they're after pandas. We are clearly missing something. Desk quite tidy. Polished to reflection, implying that Edgeworth had Gumshoe do it. Repeat. Don't see anything new laying around. Hey, okay, you should talk to Edgeworth as his I don't know about this. Okay, that's a... We may have to point at things on the evidence locker. Oh, wow. It's always nice when you see Make-A-Wish involved in something really tangible. I think you could take a look at this. This is Goodman's badge. That's it, sir. That's it. What? My head was blank. Remember, sir, you remember what happened. That card was the cause of it all. Okay, no, this is... That's when he remembers. Up until then, he wasn't sure. I have hit, unclear on what I should do next point, and I don't like being there because... we end up in a situation where it feels like we might need to just chuck all of our evidence at random people and see what sticks. And that's boring. Isn't it obvious? We should begin with that. You know, that thing. The mystery of the victim, I guess. How could one man, Detective Goodman, be killed in two places simultaneously? Oh, well, you see, you should go to the police department. The evidence room, was it? Not being very useful here, am I? No, you're being very helpful. Or Mr. Edgeworth. This is Commissioner Gant really kind of laying into Edgeworth on the previous day of the trial. It's the business with him not reading that officer's report about the killing at the police department. The chief of police was right about that, but I can't help but think someone at the police department doesn't like Edgeworth. if... Let me check my court record here. We have Goodman's autopsy. But we don't have the other document of the event in the evidence room. The only relevant people we have seem to be Marshall here and Gumshoe. Doesn't care about that evidence. Doesn't seem to care about SL9 stuff. Edgeworth, no matter what happens. Crowning achievement. My masterpiece, you might say. My art is misunderstood. He was dancing proudly on the day of the awards ceremony, but there were a lot of people coming and going after the ceremony, so they took the Blue Badger away for a while. Really? Why? They said it was shameful or something like that. Shameful. I toiled night and day. I sympathize with Detective Gumshoe, but I can see why they moved it. Alright, do we have? Secret numbers, I can never relax, because you always lose your card and you forget your secret number. My face should be enough. What's the world coming to? Care about that. May have already presented that to him. Alright, thanks for joining us, Barbed Wire. Hope you have a good evening. Oh, okay, new thing. Something sticking out of the locker. It's like a shirt. Guess it must be evidence for some case. I wonder if Detective Gumshoe put this here. There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of slob. I'm not responsible for the evidence here. That said, I bet that evidence locker was opened recently. How do you know? If you leave things hanging out like that, the evidence gets dirty or ripped. The guard checks that kind of stuff and notifies the detective responsible. How many times have I had him breathing down my neck about some silly evidence? Sounds like Detective Gumshoe leaves evidence hanging out a lot, too. I bet he doesn't tuck in his shirt under that trench coat, either. If you're going to talk behind someone's back, don't do it right in front of them, pal. Okay, a bloody handprint, and then the cloth hanging out of it. Can't open the locker if your fingerprint doesn't match. If you can open it, I'll give you 50 cents. No, the police department lacks faith in its lock system. After all, Detective Goodman was stabbed here after opening his locker. But at the same time, he was found dead over at the prosecutor's office. Extremely thin rubber glove. I was wondering if there was some sort of markings on it as like a false handprint, you know? Let's move back into the evidence room. The flag's raised there, and he doesn't have anything new to say. And criminal affairs. Department mascot, the Blue Badger, the future star of the police force. The design's a little changed from the one outside. Well, the dancing Blue Badger, trademark, is still under development, you see. You have it trademarked? Absolutely. It's cutting-edge stuff, very now. I showed this doll here to my daughter, and she burst into tears. I don't know her moving I don't know. Don't show her the moving mock-up outside. You'll give her nightmares. Detectives' desks. There are computers and files on each one. Funny, they're a lot tidier than I'd expect. I guess the detectives don't spend a lot of time at their desks. Must be one of the detectives. He's mumbling something to himself. No one will suspect a cassette tape in this day and age. He's not writing a report, he's writing a novel. Yep. He was doing that last time we checked him. Meekins didn't have anything to cover. Did that happen in the course of the event? See, sir. There was nothing I could do. When the detective pointed the knife at me, I just hollered. The next thing I knew, I was unconscious. Opened my eyes, I was alone in the evidence room. Detective Goodman had disappeared. Gushing blood from his hand. So mine was written on it and on the note. This was a trigger to get her to say more to us last time. And I don't care about it. I'm noticing that the lone pawn is made to look like it has Phoenix's haircut, and it's surrounded by all the red pieces, with Phoenix dressing in blue and Edgeworth dressing in red most of the time. Books and case files. All organized and dusted. Saw that. We are clearly missing something. All right, all right. 1 moment, please. All right, let's see here. Okay, we're supposed to be able to go back to Edgeworth's office at this point and actually get somewhere, but we don't get a flag when we come into this place. And that seems to be the missing step, so there's something previously that we haven't found. Back to the evidence room. Guard station. Saw that. Still missing a step. About... We luminol this place? Alright. Let's see. Trying to look up the missing step. This is akin to the hotel murder where we ran into there was a missing key moment, and without it we can't move forward. Let's see here. Maybe this is the missing piece? Alright. Let's see if this... Just hit the right buttons. There we go. There we go. Yep. Okay, I think this was the missing bit. Detective Goodman's note and that switchblade knife. I bet Edgeworth was the most surprised of anyone. Because of the SL9 connection? That was Mr. Edgeworth's first big case unit, 2 years ago. It was the first time the world knew Edgeworth was a man to be feared. But why would evidence from that case turn up now? Hey there, Jorah. Just in time for 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 us to reveal a little bit of stream scuff there. I think it's a good opportunity to check the kitties here. How about that one? Full on kitten jackknife there. Welcome, Tass, Jorah. Here, there's some loose ends left in that case. Yeah, this was a missing piece. After this, maybe Edgeworth will actually show up in his office. That was a bloody, violent case. Violent, so it was a murder? A serial killing. Serial killing. Maybe I don't want to get involved in this after all. But the killer made a mistake, and Mr. Edgeworth built a case around that to nab it. And this was 2 years ago? That put Mr. Edgeworth right in the spotlight, and started the rumor mill. Rumors about forged evidence. It was supposed to be all cleaned up with the transferal the other day. It was the last job he ever did. Detective Goodman, that is. What do you mean? Detective Goodman was the detective in charge of the SL9 incident. So, that switchblade knife, the victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself? Hey pal, look at the time. Was there something you needed to be going to? It's just that Mr. Edgeworth's inquiry committee should be letting out soon. I'm going to go give them my report for the day. A restaurant flyer. It might help, you know. Report? You mean the note written on the back of that flyer? The one that says nothing but no problems? Oh, Gumshoe revealing his competence once more. How's your day been going, Jorah? It's Mr. Edgeworth we're talking about. I'm sure he can use a report like this. I believe in him. Who needs enemies when you've got friends like Gumshoe? I'm off, pal. Later. I should probably see what Edgeworth has to say, too. I mean, so far, the further along in the series we go, the less money and prospects of survival Gumshoe has. Ground station. Edgeworth's office. There's a flag. That took us way too long. Oh, it's that dude. Ah, guess. My apologies. Oh, it's you. Have we met somewhere? Huh? Mr. Edgeworth, I beg your leave. So long. Just a bit, Tass. This is before the trial at the hotel, right? Well, hopefully you managed to recover from that soon, Jorah. That sounds unpleasant. Right. Has the hotel bring him tea service? Mr. Edgeworth, you're back from the district prosecutor's office inquiry? I am. By the way, Detective Gumshoe was looking for you. Ah, yes, he brought me the latest information, it seems. Really? Was it helpful? Apparently, a new French restaurant is opening near here. I think he was trying to console me somehow. The real info is on the other side, Edgeworth. Or Mr. Edgeworth. I think this whole thing is really taking a toll on him. Hey, Edgeworth. Plus what you were doing in the evidence locker. Right, I better check this now. As I was saying, What's this? A record of ID card usage? Edgeworth, you went into the evidence room that day, didn't you? Oh, I missed that. Yes, that's true. Why, Mr. Edgeworth? Please don't look at me like that. I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. Chief of Police? He wanted evidence for a case that wrapped up half a year ago. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. AI-16. But it was solved, right? It would have to be if the evidence was already filed. The chief is never one to explain himself. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. Can I ask what kind of case it was? I can't say. It really has nothing to do with the current case. I'm curious about this other case. I'd better make a note of it. Stubborn as always, I told you this has nothing to do with the current case. Egg says AI-16. What's that got to do with anything? Nothing, apparently. At least that's what Edgeworth said. Makes it seem all the more suspicious. Who knows, this might turn out to be the clue that breaks the case. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. So how did the inquiry committee go? Actually, they decided to treat this not as a case of concealing evidence, but as a communications error during the investigation. Concealing evidence? Yes, apparently there are some who believe that I concealed evidence. They gave me a warning. We were lucky this time. Again. Again? I've heard them say that so many times. Ever since that case 2 years ago. Are you okay for the trial tomorrow? I'm still the presiding prosecuting attorney. However, something happened? They gave control of the investigation over to the police department. The police department? Yes, any further investigation for this case will be directed by the Chief of Police, Gant. I can do nothing but wait for his results. I see. Why, I ask you, why? All along, I've done only what I believe is right. I have nothing to be ashamed of. But still, never seen him this out of sorts. Anything else? Let's see. Was there... That is his I don't know. Essentially, I'm the prosecutor. You don't expect me to look at all the evidence with you, right? Nope. Prosecutor, he doesn't care about the floor plan. About the evidence. Nope. Doesn't care about that. How about the stuff from the trial? Doesn't care about that. Oh, no, he's talking about his father's murder. I missed something. I was too hasty. The SL9 incident was the heinous serial killing case. The head of the investigation was the Deputy Chief of Police at the time, Damon Gant. That wacky old coot was involved in the case 2 years ago, too, then. He was a top officer, and it was my first time working with him. I was nervous. Wow, you get nervous too, Mr. Edgeworth? What I want to know is why was a Deputy Chief of Police on the investigation? In truth, I use slightly more extreme methods than normal. We were dealing with a vicious murderer. If I let him go, the blood would be on my hands. We won our guilty verdict, and the killer was executed. Wait, you didn't... Of course not. I didn't touch the evidence. Yes, I will do anything in my power to win a trial. However, I do have a code, and I follow it faithfully. By the way, Emma, the chief prosecutor wanted to know something. My sister? What? If you were still studying forensic science. Yes, of course. Why, just today, Mr. Wright and I were using this. Luminol testing fluid, Well then, you might have a use for this. Aluminum powder for taking fingerprints. It's been chemically treated for better adhesion. New and improved. For me? Are you sure? We are the enemy, you know. I've no say in today's investigation. Do as you will. Edgeworth, being remarkably helpful, also has the feeling that he's trying to go behind Gant's back and get his own hits in. Edgeworth, I'm really... No need to thank me. Here, take your powder and these fingerprint files for everyone involved. Thanks. How about giving these to Detective Gumshoe as well? Let's get going. Remember seeing a suspicious handprint somewhere. Okay, so we go underground. We don't examine anything here. Going to... Okay. No, I don't want to examine the luminol. I want to use the luminol. You can't use that here, so maybe we have to go to the guard room, to the evidence room first. Sector 3. Our investigation turned up a suspicious handprint. Here in this blood on the detective's evidence locker. Let's use our the secret weapon we just borrowed. Let's get started. First, choose a finger. Each finger leaves behind a slightly different imprint. So let's choose the finger that will have left behind the clearest print. Quit procrastinating and choose a finger. That one. Time to check for prints. Let me show you how it's done. Emma's starting to get that sparkle in her eyes. First, we sprinkled the aluminum powder around. How do you do that? With enter, see? The aluminum powder adheres completely to the print. Once the powder is well spread, just blow away the excess. How do I do that? With E. Imagine you're blowing out the candles on the birthday cake. See? That looks like fun. May take some getting used to, though. So, in reading up to find that missing step, this was introduced during the DS era. So it would be essentially tapping to put down the powder, and then the DS did have like a microphone slot that would react to like blowing on it, that kind of thing. It's fine, it won't go up your nose or anything. Just pour the powder on thick and blow away the extra. Those are the basics. Dust. 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 Do, 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 do. Found a fingerprint. This looks nothing like a fingerprint. Now that you mention it, I guess it doesn't. What does it mean? I think it means we're out of luck. Out of luck? The person who left this handprint must have worn gloves. Don't tell me we've been wasting our time here. Calm down, that's just the way it goes sometimes with scientific investigations. But it does seem a shame. While we're at it, why don't we look at for other prints? Other prints? Look at the locker door again closely. Seems like there are fingerprints outside the bloody handprint as well. See if we can find a clear print. Really slather it on there. There we go. A print so clear it's dazzling. All spirals and whorls. Dazzling? Anyway, this print took a lot of effort to find. Let's match it up right away. Not done yet. This is quite a process. There's no point in finding a fingerprint and not knowing who the owner is, right? Guess she's right. Look at the fingerprint data we got from Mr. Edgeworth. Point out the person who you think left these prints. How am I supposed to know? I could make a pretty good guess. The bloody handprint and the fingerprints are in different places, right? That means that the prints probably don't have anything to do with our case. So whose fingerprints will we most likely find on this evidence locker? There we go. Gumshoe's locker. Aha! So these prints belong to Detective Gumshoe. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? You gave me this so what look. I guess that's probably because I was thinking, so what? Okay, so we came up with nothing this time, but there's always next time. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. You gotta roll with the punches, Mr. Wright. Thanks for the sympathy. Wait, if I remember correctly, there's one other handprint in this room. Slide. That's where we got the luminol fluid reaction. There was a handprint. Do you want to check for prints? You mean the only thing we could possibly do to advance the case? Do I want to do that? Yes. Yes, I do. That's the spirit. But I have to warn you about something first. The area with the blood was wiped away, right? We only ended up finding it because of using chemical means. Any prints in that area will have been wiped away too. Right. So that means no prints. You say the probability of your hypothesis is high? Don't ask me. Anyway, we must try to find prints that weren't wiped away. Prints other than those left by the bloody hand. Try again. You would think by the handle there would be prints. Maybe we can identify who would have... Oh, same thing. I don't. I do not understand. It can't be on the bloody handprint. All right. Why you make me do this game? Right there, apparently. That spot. That one spot. That's different than all the other spots. Completely different than all the other spots. I'm guessing what they're saying is that's where the ring finger on that hand would be. But the whole gimmick is that area was wiped clean. That is right near the bloody print, and they said it's not going to be near the bloody print. But it's near the bloody print. You lied to me, Emma. You lied to me. Cover the whole thing with thick white powder. Purely law-abiding giant pile of white powder. That one. Not that one. Looks like his. These fingerprints, they... Whose are they? Whose? Is it someone I know? It's Officer Marshall. Bum, bum, bum. Officer Jake Marshall? got to be a coincidence. He's not involved in the crime. Emma. This is decidedly different from Detective Gumshoe's prints. The luminol reaction. The blood and the fingerprints are in the same place. So we have Jake Marshall's fingerprints on a wiped bloodstain. Maybe he violently cut himself shaving with that ridiculous knife and needed to, like, stumble out but left a blood print and wiped it off. Why would Officer Marshall? Looks like our investigation is finally turning up some results. I guess this is what you'd call decisive evidence. No, it's not, Phoenix. It's just a weird parallel circumstance that may or may not be involved. I don't believe it. This guy that I don't know, who's been an impediment to our investigation up until now, is possibly implicated. I am shocked. Save right here. And we're going to save right here. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time, and a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana? Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. Plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. Alana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Skye. We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall. We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Much delayed, but we got here. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Lana? Lana? Yeah, whatever. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today, I will present evidence related to the murder at the police department. In doing so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. That's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? Well, you should be on board with that, Phoenix. That's how every one of your cases unfolds. You have no idea what's going on, but you act like you do. Very well. Let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Ooh, boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? That man's gonna die an early death by concussion. He's gonna have that that style of brain injury that football players are prone to, where his brain gets all rattled and liquefied. I mean, watch his eyes. He gets kind of squinty for a moment. That's probably from the pain. Yes, sir. I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. Professional or... professionally or hobbyist? So you're telling us you're a professional killer. Yeah, there we go. Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You've got to believe me, sir. Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is... Sir, I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I'm part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. It's dang millennials, I guess. Even the murderers don't have have good sense of job obligations. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. Spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. Was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life, then I did it. After that, I passed out. Until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you. Do unto others before they do unto you. That is the Cold Iron Code. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more information to work with. A crime report, sir. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by the Chief of Detectives, sir. I like how they keep showing it in its fully animated form to remind you of its creepy little dance. Just look at it go. It's horrible, boneless elbow twirls. From the description of it, Jorah, there isn't an on-off switch on it. If the batteries are in, it dances. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. So that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? Suspicious man. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card. Am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is. I found it. This is the one right here. Can you please read us the number? Sir, 4989596. That is my number, sir. I see? Huh? But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. Please explain, witness. Almost said, please explain, witless. I don't think it was actually inaccurate, though. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room, so about 450. And the second time is when I went to get him after everything settled down. So it was during that second time when, yes sir, that's when I spotted the man on the security screen. So he went back to get him, entered within the same minute that the person who he saw was there. Like, he was right behind him. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir. A knife. Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you. What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he was as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. I'm trying to picture this. I'm having some trouble. I don't imagine swung my arms like an octopus making a lot of sense, but this would imply that he just sort of hurled himself at him and tried to, like, tangle him up, I guess? He's gangly enough looking. Maybe that's what he was hoping to do. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you'd kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life, then I did it. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. He took his knife. I spun around and performed a disarming maneuver. That's why the ones that do go armed tasks have them on a chain, so when they fling their arms around like an octopus and lose the gun, it's like those Wiimote straps. It just swings down by their hip. That way they don't lose it. Made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. Must have been desperate. I like how Meekins is describing essentially flinging himself at an armed opponent and then flailing about with his eyes closed in terms of police training and kung fu skills. Next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood. Then the next thing I knew, yes, he punched me right in my face, sir. After that, I passed out until an officer smacked me awake. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain. That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. It's also nice that he had some sense smacked into him. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. We can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer, quote, murdered, really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief? Delivered it? What is that? A videotape? Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Oh, you're a good puppet, Meekins. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Yes, but this time, it seems like the communication problems with the police department are more due to malice than incompetence. Not without incompetence, but, you know, there's extra malice. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word, murder, sir. It scares me. Video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? There's a word for that kind of video, Phoenix. There's a word for that. We see the real killer. Oh. Looking in the locker. Meekins creeping up with baton drawn. The point at which he said he pulled a kung fu move, he had both hands up. Wow. That guy pulled an impressive maneuver, not walking by the camera at all during that. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wiggling piece of plywood? No, I'm sorry, wriggling. Wriggling piece of plywood. As the pride and joy of the entire criminal affairs department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone. In the evidence room and sort of, activity. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir. As you wish, sir. That's the only thing I can assume there, Jorah, is that he would have had to, like, belly crawl out of there. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have been Detective Goodman. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions, and that's where I have to start. He has that, like, vacant mind staring into the sun look going on, doesn't he? Like, he's looking generally up like ceiling word, with a little grin on his face, rubbing his chin. I would say that he's thinking about something, but that would imply thoughts, and they don't seem to be present. Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? At the face of the man who attacked you with a knife? Sir, if you must label people as having seen or not seen the man's face, I believe I would be classified as the latter? The latter, but you were standing right in front of him, were you not? More to the point, you are the person who fought him, aren't you? Oh, yes, sir, but I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking with them, as you see. Yeah, that's a good trait for a police officer. Meekins does strike me as the kind of person that, at some point in the future on a local news program, neighbors will be saying things like, I never would have expected it. He seemed like such a nice person. So I'm sure it was him. I'd bet my badge on it. But there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman. But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw Detective Goodman's face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is, if you must label people as having seen or not seen it. Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it. Why is everyone looking at me? If I had to label your stares as disturbing or... Meekins. Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Now please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. You claim the man who brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman. Tell us why you are positive it was him. Open the locker. About these lockers, is there no other way to open them? No, sir. I myself tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to registered fingerprints, sir. Wonder what kind of methods he's tried. You'd think there'd have to be a failsafe in them, not because you'd want easy access, but because fingerprint readers are not super durable. The membrane is not indestructible. If they're just meant to read through, like, light, like direct light, then you can have other issues, but they're not indestructible. So if there's not a failsafe to be able to open them, all somebody would need to seal the thing inside and require the destruction of the evidence locker itself would generally be a hammer. Just whack the reader. Then he must be the person the locker was assigned to if you could open it. Exactly my point, sir. And this too. It's definitely Goodman's locker. How do you know that information? I have heard rumors, sir, from people in the know, sir. People in the know? The workers in the department cafeteria, sir, they keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic troubles, sir. For the record, the open locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information through a more reliable source. So the victim opened the locker with his own fingerprint. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video, the man's face. Sir, if I may say something, sir. Please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Let's check the court record again. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there's one thing in particular that seems rather strange. This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. Does the video contain such a contradiction? Interesting. We're gonna count a save right there. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. We'll now play the security tape. Please show us this contradiction you speak of. First time I've had to do that. First time I've had to point out a problem in a video. Set it up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Just don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Locker closed. Person passing by. No cloth. Guy at locker, opening locker, glove falls out. Meekins creeps in. No cloth in the locker. Meekins creeps up and gets pummeled. Yep, we can see the blood on the shoulder, like you mentioned before. And left. Nobody there. The cloth. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. It is strange. Something certainly seems unnatural about it. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wright, but you seem to have forgotten the point of this exercise. What you're looking for is one thing and one thing only. Something that indicates the man may not be Goodman. Oh. Almost walked right into the defensive trap. Place him under arrest, sir. Remember, every time you point your finger, someone gets hurt. Says the one pointing his finger at us. Oh. The light. Indicator lamp lights up when it's open. Music stopped. Officer Meekins. Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker's apparatus works like this. Ooh, apparatus. Why do we still get to hear the Blue Badger music? I mean, this is sinister music when you think about it. Imagine hearing this music in the dark and seeing that little plywood cutout moving. You grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. Look at him there, staring at you with those beady eyes while he wriggles. Let alone that he kind of raises the truncheon, you know? When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind a little earlier. There, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. And Meekins chokes himself. Well, it's almost a certainty that, Catbot Corporation retail locations would actually have existing cardboard cutouts for their Yeno-type lines, let alone the old Catbot lines. And given the amount of, luminous blue that's on any of our products, then you'd expect that there'd be like glowing eyes or something like that. You know, they could double as nightlights. What is the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered. And the locker is automatically locked. I know, it must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have any explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Save. Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Oh, maybe something like jammed the system sensor? Something jammed the sensor, say... There's something else that seems out of place in this video. There's got to be another clue somewhere in the footage. Play that tape! Walks by. Love. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Oh, we don't get the music. Look at him wriggle so happily. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But, sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car door. You imagine Meekins is the sort that would inevitably find a banana peel if it had been dropped, and upon stepping on it, would do a really flaily kind of Looney Tunes style slide all over the place. We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. That man is gonna die on traffic patrol or something like that, you know? They're gonna find him, like, hanging from the door of his patrol car by his tie, having left the car in neutral and it rolled back down into traffic. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator, but at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. Smug, smug, smug. But sir, by insulator you don't mean... I think I've finally got this figured out. Present the relevant evidence. Boop. found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker, but that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. Yeah, he is kind of a walking liability, Jorah. He's the kind of guy that you would expect. The facility would have 2 separate OSHA investigations done for it. The first one would be when Meekins is not present. They would go through and evaluate the office for safety. Then they would bring Meekins into the office and have him walk around with the inspector. And they would then make a separate evaluation and then make a determination of how safe the office was in both cases, so that they can determine if the place is up to grade based on Meekins' staffing schedule. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is that not so, Officer Meekins? There's a pose. There's a good one. Order. So are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir? Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well. Begin your testimony. Mystery Man the Second. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Now, we have both the card in our possession, which was found in the garage, but that might just be an indication that the body was moved in there or dropped, or the card was dropped after the body was moved there. But we also have the report of the missing card with the start of the badge number, but it wasn't completed. ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. Goodman entered around 5:14, which is within the time of his death, or a range of. We're missing a cat. Sammy just passed through and Amber had to vacate. See if you can spot her a little bit. Yep, you can just see Sammy in the upper right corner of the cat cam there. Just before the crime. Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transfer. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. So, unlike your earlier testimony, you believe this to be rock solid. Yes, sir. Solid as stone, sir. My hand wasn't wrapped in bandages. I'd even give you the V for victory sign, sir. Can he just use his right hand for that? Let's hear him out. As we've seen, one never knows what he might say until the very last second. Even the judge is kind of exasperated with him. Is that card hanging from your neck one of those ID cards? Yes, sir. This card right next to my cuffs, sir. I keep it there so I won't ever forget it. What if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck when I get out of my car? Well, the remaining time it's my ID card that gets stuck. So, every single time the man gets out of his car, he gets clotheslined either by his tie or his ID badge. And usually you'd expect him to have like somebody with him, you know, a partner or a secondary. So they would see this all the time and let it keep happening, potentially for the laughs. Well, the remaining time, it's my ID card that gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave that one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. That would be it, Detective Goodman. What's the matter? According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here. So it is, Your Honor. That would scan there. It'd almost be a certainty that there would be some sort of office pool surrounding Meekins. I'd expect that at least some of the bets would be how many times he's going to manage to blunder into something and injure himself during a particular day. And I bet the second thing in the betting pool would be when he's going to die in a workplace incident. Not if, when. It seems the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir, he didn't show me any ID card, sir. Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked. Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. What do you think? I'm confused. The problem with this ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth is missing something like this. Save. Yep. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The oddity there being that if both the murders happened at the same time, then if the badge was over there in the prosecutor's parking lot, then it would be kind of difficult for it to be used minutes before at the police department. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. The lost item report is only half completed, but it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess, you believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes? What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is true. There is also the implication that that Meekins was knocked prone, and in the time that the camera swept around, all we saw was that the body would have been on the floor. But we know that the body was not present there. That's it. Well, I guess that's right. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago, you seemed content in pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Oh well, it seems you've finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Whoops. A trustworthy witness? Wait a minute. The only witness they had to the event was I can't remember, the lunch saleswoman. And she showed that she fabricated portions of her evidence. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Still, if his ID card was used at the police department, why was it then over at the if it was used at 5:14 at the police department, how did it show up at the prosecutor's office? Right, you have to do something, or else Lana do? How am I supposed to get out of this mess? You're gonna save the game. That's what you're gonna do, Phoenix. Save the game. Of course we object. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proved one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. I mean, another implication is that as the camera is panning, like right here, the guy could enter the frame and start to move across, but it's really wonky. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Gavel. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify. What is his or her name? Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? Can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. Prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We should need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. We are gonna save here, folks. And we are gonna wrap up for the night there. I think we've had a good run this evening. We ran a little bit over to get to this point, but we actually made progress once we got past that roadblock. But yeah, overall good. Overall good. Hope everybody did have a good time with us. The schedule for this week, tomorrow, currently planned for about noon, is we're going to start off a bit of a marathon session of Dead Space, the remake of Dead Space. I've always enjoyed that series. Even the third one, which tends to be the one that gets the most negative reviews. The third one is a bit more combat heavy and did have some wonky microtransactions with it. But I do like the series as a whole. And they've done a remake of Dead Space 1, which is getting really good reviews. So I'm excited for that. Sounds like Tass is as well. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to start playing about noon, and we're going to keep going until we run out of game, until I start to fall asleep, or until everybody's pretty much tired for the day, and then we'll pick it up later. It will be good times. So hopefully I'll get to see you folks for that too. But yeah. Again, I hope you all had fun watching with me tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.